Okay, back from vacation. My nephews gave me some kid cold that slowed me down, so apologies if I sound a little different, I'm still getting over it. Additionally, I've remarked before that I'm reusing all the characters from canon, if in slightly different ways than canon did. But I'm also introducing some new characters. Some will just be nameless fodder for the sake of the story, but some will have names, and I'll make sure to identify these characters when the time comes. Just wanted to make that distinction now, so that people aren't up in arms when I suddenly start introducing completely unknown characters. Today, we're going to look at what is so far the most neglected team. Team 7. Before we start in earnest, Kakashi has been putting them through team building exercises in an attempt to get them to work together better. They had non-mission tasks, such as finding hidden items that Kakashi placed throughout the village. This would force Sasuke to rely on Neji for his Byakugan and hopefully build rapport between the two. Other examples included blindfolding Neji and having Sasuke guide him through the village to points directed by Kakashi. This, as well as organizing the start of their day such that Sasuke would have to prepare ninja tools for Neji and vice versa. Shikamaru was involved in all of these exercises as well, but he had no problems working with either. However, as much energy and enthusiasm as Neji and Sasuke could muster in trying to work together, this teamwork, like clockwork, continuously unraveled on every task. Knowing that the two prodigies of the Hyuga and Uchiha couldn't very well be benched forever, Minato began to seriously think about reassigning them. One day, nearly 2 weeks after earning their headband and culminating another task in frustration and conflict, Kakashi sits down with the team and levels with them. He tells them that no one has infinite patience and they can't just continually bang their heads against the wall. The potential the group has is so enormous that they could one day become the greatest ninja in the village. But clearly the risks against this likelihood are incredibly steep. He tells them to go home and think hard about where they want to end up. At rock bottom with a team that just doesn't work, or at the very top of the world. Shikamaru sighs and says goodbye to his hard-headed team. It takes a lot of laziness to make Shikamaru frustrated, and he's found that low. He's being punished for his other teammates being unable to work together, and as much as he doesn't want it to, this stagnancy is making him actively dislike his team partners. Neji was top of class, Sasuke was just a sliver behind, and they can't even work properly on their training, let alone a mission. Pausing for a moment. Yes, indeed, Neji beat out Sasuke for classroom scoring, but the way I look at it, the Byakugan starts out quite a bit stronger than the Sharingan. The way I've tried to build up these dojutsu is that the Byakugan is stronger earlier but grows slowly. Meanwhile, the Sharingan is weaker earlier and grows fast. Shikamaru decides that it's about time he asks for a change of teams. Neji says his goodbyes to Shikamaru and only glances at Sasuke, who doesn't seem to meet his gaze, so he too turns and leaves. On his way back to the Hyuga mansion, preparing for another arraigning by his father, Neji squeezes his fists in frustration that he just can't seem to get along with Sasuke. It's almost as if their blood curdles in mere proximity of each other, regardless of their efforts to get along. In the presence of his family, Neji is calm, deliberate, keen, and submissive to any of their requests. In the presence of Sasuke, all he finds himself wanting to do is seize the Uchiha by the throat. He feels sickened by this intense, violent hatred that he shouldn't have, but nothing he does seems to remedy this illness. Sasuke sighs almost in unison with Shikamaru as they part ways. He glances up at Neji, and as Neji's eyes rise to meet his, he quickly looks away and acts aloof. As he's walking home, he wonders why he can't just be friendly with Neji. He is sure that Neji isn't inherently a bad person, but he's been told all his life that the Hyuga are arrogant and act high-browed in the presence of the public, as if they're genetically advantaged. Sasuke is not even sure how he feels about his own clan, yet he lets their words creep into his head like a virus. He wonders if his own inherent hostility is what's making Neji hostile towards him, if maybe this problem won't go away until he fixes his own attitude. He gets home to Tayaki sitting at the kitchen table. They barely acknowledge each other as Sasuke walks past and ascends to his bedroom. Since the first day he worked with Neji, Sasuke's clanmates have been pestering him for more juicy information about that punk Hyuga's blunders. However, this pestering has all but gone away, as Sasuke simply returned home time and time again with the exact same news, that his day sucked. As with all of his evenings of late, Sasuke leans back on his bed, closes his eyes, and waits for sleep to take him. "Oi," someone says to him, seemingly inches from his face, a small paw tapping Sasuke on the cheek. "Hokage building, 10 minutes, Kakashi's orders," the small dog says, leaping up to the windowsill before leaping out into the black of night. Leaping out of bed, Sasuke straps on his ninja toolkit and stuffs a snack into his pocket before leaping out the window after the dog. He fell asleep in his clothes, his shinobi headband still tied on, so preparations were shockingly easy. He notes that there aren't any fires or explosions or screaming in the village, so whatever Kakashi's got planned for him might just be more team-building nonsense. Sasuke arrives to Neji and Kakashi waiting, and it's just a minute before Shikamaru also shows up. Standing nearby are 2 Anbu ninja, and after a few more seconds pass, one puffs into nothingness as the clone jutsu dispels, and the second approaches Team 7. Time is short, but I'll explain the need to know. The Anbu explains monotonously, "A key individual of the village was taken from their bed 12 minutes ago, and we have mobilized a chase after the kidnappers." "Who?" Neji asks, but the Anbu continues on, ignoring him. "You are to assist only. The Anbu have been keeping watch of the village night and day while the Hokage is away. We are exhausted. There are too few of us to cover every sector of the village and keep up on rest. And so they will rely even on Genin for such a task." Kakashi explains, their tones denoting that Anbu asking for Genin help is far out of the ordinary. "I will take part. You 3 will watch," Kakashi continues, hoping that them viewing an elite Anbu team might give them some silent direction on teamwork. "There were 7 assailants, we killed 1, the other 6 are fleeing as we speak." "Who is the key individual?" Sasuke asks again. After a pause, the Anbu responds, "Hanabi Hyuga." "What?" Neji shouts, angry and shocked. "We don't have time to be angry, we need to head out now to keep up with the pursuing party." The Anbu persists. "Is there not Anbu that keep watch of our mansion?" Neji asks. "Now's not the time to be angry," the Anbu ninja repeats, grabbing his mask and removing it just enough for the group to see a Byakugan. "This Anbu is of the Hyuga house." "Follow me," the Anbu repeats, turning and sprinting down the main road from the Hokage building as Team 7 follow. More details are explained on the way, as they're heading toward the Land of Stone. The kidnappers are unknown, though their pathing suggests that they're at the very least allies of the Stone. They've also ditched stealth for speed, and have left a messy path that's easy to follow. The Anbu they're currently following is last in the line of Anbu that have given chase. There are no less than 8 Anbu currently pursuing. Kakashi asks Shikamaru why Hanabi would be chosen to be kidnapped. Shikamaru reasons that members of the main house don't have any seals on their Byakugan, so taking hers would be the easiest. When he tries to elaborate, Neji tells him to stop talking and begins to sprint ahead of the group to escape earshot. After Neji has excused himself, Shikamaru goes on to say that even if not for her Kekkei Genkai, Hanabi would still be an extremely valuable bargaining chip. Of course, Kakashi knows this. He's simply testing Shikamaru's ability to think rationally in high-tension situations. Kakashi calls ahead to Neji and tells him to deactivate his Byakugan. They are still far from the lead position, and he needs to conserve his chakra. The Anbu they're traveling with also tells him to relax and conserve as much as he can for what may come. Reluctantly, Neji deactivates his Byakugan, but continues his efforts to match speeds with the Anbu. "Kakashi sir, I'll trust you to continue to track," the Anbu says, turning it to 11 and seemingly vanishing with the great speed he suddenly employs. Sasuke asks Kakashi after the Anbu has left where the Hokage is, to have left the village without leaving word. Kakashi tells him that the fourth didn't go very far, but outside the village is still outside, and this was just bad timing. He concludes that it's not up to Genin to know where the Hokage is at all times. While they sprint through the woods, they pass an Anbu without stopping, who signals the direction they are to keep going. Neji expresses his frustration that the Anbu are taking rests, but Kakashi tries to imply just how exhausted they are. With the Hokage out of town and so few Anbu to cover all the sectors of the city in his stead, they've likely been going without sleep for at least 48 hours. Add to this that Orochimaru is out on a mission himself, and Jiraiya is also out of country at the moment. Tsunade is great for support, but she can't reverse exhaustion. He tells Neji that he needs to respect the Anbu, as they've successfully protected the city from so many threats that no one even knows about. How good they must be to prevent mass destruction without anyone in the village having any idea danger's even nearby. Not to mention that when they finally catch up, it's a very bad idea to clash with unknown ninja when you're almost at the point of hallucination. After traveling for a couple hours, they clear the forest that surrounds the village and begin ripping across some plains until they reach a river and spot the kidnappers at last. Just as the information explained, there were 6 ninja resting at the river's edge. Neji spots Hanabi strapped like a mummy to the back of one of the ninja, appearing unconscious. Sasuke's hair stands on end as goosebumps ripple across his skin. He looks over at Neji and sees a rage, the likes of which he himself has only ever experienced once. Sasuke winces as nightmarish memories overcome him of blood and broken bodies, and that unforgettable combination of fear, sadness, and rage that coursed through his veins. He can remember standing in mud, made so only by blood. It was dark, the moon was full, and all was still and silent. He was surrounded by family, and he was alone. The only one still alive. Kakashi's hand falls on his shoulder, his other hand on Neji as he tells both of them to calm down and prepare for what's to come. Sasuke shakes his head and pushes back a slight headache as he activates his Sharingan. Neji too activates his Byakugan and begins shaking, unable to contain himself. Shikamaru warns him that it's incredibly foolish for Genin to charge in without Anbu support. They're clearly the lead chasers, as the rest of the Anbu have systematically stopped for rests along the way. He tells Neji that it's mighty heroic to charge in, but if Neji dies, he'd be remembered as a fearless fool. Kakashi comforts Neji with the idea that if Hanabi's life truly becomes endangered, they will of course jump into the fray. He tells Neji that he would sacrifice his own life for any member of the village, and if that's what it takes to get her back, he'll happily do so. Struggling to find his own voice, Sasuke finally says, "Bide your time and your rage. They'll feel it in full." Calming down finally after the team's collective efforts, Neji settles enough to describe them to the team. They're all shaved bald, no facial hair. They have no tattoos or piercings, and not a one has a headband to denote the village they're from. 2 are women, 4 are men. Neji winces slightly, and his Byakugan deactivates. When Kakashi asks him what happened, Neji tells him overuse. Kakashi sighs, annoyed that Neji clearly kept using it while they were traveling. Let's pause one more time. I like in stories like Hunter x Hunter or My Hero Academia that characters have a backlash of sorts to their own power use. And like those characters, the Byakugan has its own cost from overuse. Since I was a kid, probably around the age of 10, I've experienced occasional migraines. These don't happen very often. I've gone years without getting one, and I've also gone 1 year with a dozen. They're pretty brutal regardless. But I suffer from an interesting variety of migraine, and in life, when I've tried to describe to friends or coworkers, no one really knows what I'm talking about, except for other people who suffer from this kind of migraine. I think about 12% of the population get migraines, and 20% of that population gets my variety, so it's pretty rare. It is, of course, the ocular migraine. For those of you who have no idea, the picture on the screen is a still of what an ocular migraine entails, except in reality it's moving, pulsing, growing. For me, it starts with disorientation, and then a point of blindness that varies in size. Sometimes it's the size of a thumbtack in my vision, sometimes it's the size of a basketball. And yes, the bigger, the scarier. But then the blindness eventually goes away, and this crazy forked lightning menace appears near the center of my vision. It expands and eventually covers my entire peripheral vision until it quite literally expands beyond my vision and disappears. And then I usually have 3 to 5 hours of the typical light sensitivity and pounding pain. I'm only describing it in such detail because I want more people to know what it is. But it's also a perfect match for a backlash of the Byakugan. The all-seeing eyes backlash is disorientation, spots of blindness, and splitting headaches. Doesn't make the Byakugan unusable, but it doesn't incapacitate the ninja. But it sure does cripple them. Kakashi orders Neji to deactivate his Byakugan and leave it off, because the last thing they need is a crippled member of their own team. As Neji cringes in reaction to his overuse, Sasuke pulls the energy bar out of his pocket and looks at it thoughtfully. Without saying anything, he places it on the ground beside Neji, whose eyes are still closed from the pain. A few minutes pass and Sasuke sees Neji notice and pick up the energy bar from the ground. Before Neji glances around, Sasuke returns to acting aloof and shifts his thoughts back to the task at hand. 2 Anbu arrive at last beside Kakashi, and after hearing the learned information, they leap into action. Kakashi orders the 3 Genin to just watch as he follows after the Anbu. 3 elite ninja against 6 mystery ninja is still a gamble, and the Genin watch carefully. Shikamaru suggests that they get closer just in case, but stay well and truly hidden. While the ninja are fighting, there's little chance of them being spotted, and from their distance they can't very well jump into the fray if called upon. As they sneak through the bushes, Sasuke notes that the kidnappers aren't using any particular style of jutsu that would betray their hidden identities. They're using mundane jutsu that even the Genin themselves use, and nothing else. However, he also notes that their use of taijutsu is extremely deft, to make up for their lack of complex power. As the first kidnapper is disabled, he snaps down hard with his jaw and immediately keels over dead. They don't want to be taken prisoner. They have a secret that they can't afford to give up. Sasuke tells Shikamaru to keep a lookout for a kidnapper if they come too close, to prepare to catch him in the shadows. As the chaos begins to ramp up, one of the kidnappers conjures several hundred clones and tries to escape in the resulting chaos. Still suffering from backlash, Neji has the wherewithal to see the real body running away and intercepts him. Though nearly blind now, Neji strikes the man in a pressure point that loosens his jaw, so he can't swallow any poison. Though the man fights back, Sasuke intervenes and maneuvers the man with several fox techniques and a couple fast-fire ninjutsu shots to keep the man from running away, and moving him in just such a way that Shikamaru is able to bind him with shadows. Neji tries to push Sasuke aside, and Sasuke actually lets him, understanding at least a little bit of the emotions that must be coursing through Neji right now. However, in the process of punching the man, Shikamaru also gets hit, due to still being linked by shadows. The other culprits drop one by one, and the man Shikamaru can barely hang on to is eventually apprehended by the Anbu Hyuga, who shuts him down entirely with several quick gentle palm strikes. Captured alive, their interrogation core will pull out all the information needed out of him. Being able to see the assailants up close now, they make the startling discovery that his tongue has a seal running across it, his ears have sealing running around them, and his head has a huge seal of its own running from front to back. Whoever sent these ninja used several levels of tools and techniques to keep their secrets locked away as much as possible. The seals look sloppy though. Kakashi notes that even he would be able to undo most of them, despite not being particularly specialized with seals. Mission accomplished, Kakashi reviews with his team and how they did. He expresses concern that despite telling them to stay away and uninvolved, they still found a way to be involved. However, he writes over that concern with congratulations, because if Neji hadn't used his Byakugan in that moment, that particular ninja likely would have escaped. Additionally, he says that Sasuke positioning his opponent for Shikamaru to grab him was very good, as well as stepping aside for Neji to strike the ninja. Despite the strike hurting Shikamaru, Kakashi was impressed that Sasuke was able to keep his cool and let Neji do his thing. He does, however, express concern that Neji needs to keep his patience in check. He understands the gravity of the situation, but if Neji experienced a similar situation in the future, Kakashi hopes that he understands the importance of patience. With Hanabi safely back in Konoha hands, they head back to the village as the sun rises in the distance. And that's that. So a couple notes with what I was trying to do here. I want Neji to be practically fanatical about protecting his clan. He's been raised on stories of his uncle, the head of the house, sacrificing himself to maintain peace. So it's not that he's selfish or brash, but that he's so loyal to his clan that he will do literally anything to help protect it. As to Sasuke, well, Sasuke experienced something horrific, and it was only like 5 years ago. He's scarred by this, and similar emotions or sights in the present are going to remind him of that fateful day that he lost his family. He legitimately has PTSD. Canon Sasuke is just too unaffected by this. It's the reason given as to why he's doing all that he's doing, hunting Itachi for vengeance. But despite happening 5 years ago, he's remarkably okay. Even the best of the best in the military, in real life, full-grown adults, mind you, are scarred for the rest of their lives based on some of the things they see. I just can't accept that Sasuke would only be angry. Of course, he's other things as well, but Naruto as a series was designed for a younger audience, and Sasuke's emotions are kind of a one-trick pony as a result of this. So for the future of this rewrite, expect more of this. He's clearly still capable and honed for someone his age, but he's haunted by his past, enraged by it, afraid of it. Also, because of the issues between Sasuke and Neji, Shikamaru hasn't exactly had a lot of spotlight, but trust me when I say, he's not forgotten. As I stated at the start of this series, this rewrite is all about the Konoha 12 and their fates. The sky's the limit.